Okay. Hello, I'm Ruby Redheart, and today we're back with What Remains of Edith Finch. Last time we learned what happened to Calvin, who is the twin brother of... Let me look at the family tree because it's been a little bit. He is the twin brother of Sam. So, we're going to hopefully get through quite a few more of this family tree. And this family, it's just so sad. They almost seem like they are cursed, but honestly, it just seems more like negligence and accidents. It's just that so many of them died young.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
That makes sense. And I'm glad that Sam was not actually living with his dead brother. Is there anything that we can
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. He had been living his life with half of the room, just looking at his brother's stuff forever. So that makes perfect sense to me. Oh, this is so cool. Whoever made these secret doors, they're just so cool. I want these in my own house.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Yeah, they were meant for, like, kids. Milton was here. Cute.
Growing
This
up,
is Barbara's room.
I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
This is Barbara's room. That's so cool. Oh, Swan Lake. Wonder if she was part of that. Lots of merchandise. She must have been a really popular child star to have actual merchandise of her. And she was ironing out a dress. It's so weird coming into these rooms, just seeing how everything was just left without the person afterwards. Like, there's popcorn still on the floor. But my question is, like, why haven't rats, mice, cockroaches eaten that? Also, even if it wasn't eaten, it should have been disintegrated into the carpet by now. Food doesn't last forever.
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
I mean, I'm sure it would have been hard going from child star to just regular person. Happy birthday, Barbara. Sad. This must have been on her birthday or near it. Otherwise, this still wouldn't be here. They only ate one tiny bite of that, and then they left it to rot. That's sad. She smoked, which, not good for her lungs, but I guess she never really had to worry about that since she died so young. I think that she died when she was 16. That's sad. Barbara Street. Rated jobs increase. Giant house fire. Something street. Oh. Lots of newspapers and things. Dead flowers. And picture of Barbara holding a crutch. 1944 to 1960.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
The dreadful stories.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been.
That's
But
sad.
in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
That's a good scream.
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room.
Ugh.
So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the
thanks.
music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box.
Okay, before I do this, because it looks like I'm going to be the one doing this, she was 16. There's no way that you can consider any 16-year-old washed up. And I will tell you that even though it's been a long time since you've acted, it's possible to still get back into acting if you wanted to act. Now, I've never acted before, but if you want to be an actor, you can. Just keep in mind that the average amount of auditions somebody has to go to before they're cast in anything as an actor is 60-something. So, knowing that, it would take quite a long time before you ever even got a job. So honestly, if she had kept on going over and over again, there's a good chance that she would have got an acting position. And even if she chose to quit acting and never to do it again, it would be fine. She's 16. She can literally go to college or go do a job somewhere else without a college degree. She doesn't have to worry about being washed up. There's many things that she could have done. Also, her boyfriend, I know that he's trying to help her, but I don't like how he's acting like her coach. He's her boyfriend. He should just care about her. not her crew. And if she asked him to do this thing, then I guess I get why he's acting like this, but otherwise, I feel like he's just annoying. Anyway.
And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent. She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
I would imagine most too. Can you actually shoot? I guess not. I can smoke up on this and supplies. Goodness.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
Well, that's not good. Wait, he ate his family? So he's a cannibal. That's interesting.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
That's not good.
Oh dear!
Oh.
Rick?
You shouldn't be hiding in a
Barb,
refrigerator.
relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you...
She
Stop
threw
telling
him
her
out,
what she's feeling.
but she kept a little something to remember him
Acting.
by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
I mean, you could just be scared. He might have had a nightmare. Oh, look! The door has cat eyes. Like a nose. Oh, actually, it has a mouth too for the nose. It's so cool. Why did my skate just fall? I'm assuming it's my skate. Yeah, because it matches the outfit we saw in here. Oh, here it is.
Walter, are you there?
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Uh-oh.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And who he was, he couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned. she sensed the story might not be over yet.
You better not be gone when I get down there. You better just stay where you're at.
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
I don't really want to answer that door. Do I have to? Yes, I
Someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara. At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
That's scary.
Oh dear.
Yeah, oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life.
Well, that's...
I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course,
Yeah.
the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter, hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
That's a little creepy.
Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
So, she was likely eaten after she was killed.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
I don't see how you could see that as a happy ending. I mean, her daughter died in probably a horrific way. And Walter, Barbara's brother, was there and witnessed it. And who knows what that did to him. Okay.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Yeah, she doesn't want you to get into the basement, you already said, and you playing with it would risk that. But I guess now I know where we're going next. I wonder if you could actually... I wonder if at the beginning of the game you could actually have kept on winding it and accidentally got the key. I mean, get the key. You know? We're gonna wait for the music box to stop. they like switch the wooden board on top? Because otherwise, wouldn't there be a stain from Barbara's blood if her ear was in here? I hate to be a little bit morbid, but wouldn't that be the case? I love seeing all the sunlight and the dust and stuff. It's so pretty.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
Well, I mean, I understand why. There's a lot of woodworking tools just out here that you could easily get hurt on. I'm sure that there are probably rusty nails somewhere, because almost every garage has some form of rusty nails or tool that they just honestly forgot about.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
Interesting. I wonder why she would have to sneak around in the basement.
I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
Honestly, that might have been a good option. But why would she bring them here? There's no good place to hide them. I guess what?
It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
Yeah, looks like it.
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could.
Yeah, I understand that.
If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
I mean, I understand why though. Because this is your home. Or their home. So I get it. He has a little window. I mean, I know that this is like a fake picture. Because it's the wrong time of day. But that's sweet. He has flowers. How are those alive? Unless those are fake flowers. March 2005.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years.
Yeah.
On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane.
Yeah. Routines do help people stay sane.
Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow.
Oh, that's...
But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything.
I mean, yeah.
Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal.
Yeah.
Almost friendly.
Yeah.
And then one day, everything just stopped.
2005.
Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid.
Excuse me.
It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave. Well, I still can.
Normally, I think that leaving would be the smart choice. But considering this family, I think that him's leaving's going to cause him to wind up dying. Also, why doesn't he just go through the refrigerator door instead? That would be smarter and safer. Come out of the basement that way.
I know it's out there, somewhere.
Actually, Walter may have saw his sister die. Actually, that's what that comic implied when we saw Barbara's death. So, maybe he's referring to whatever, like the monster as in the person that killed Barbara. But that person would probably be long gone by now. And if he's talking about the shaking as the monster, which is what I think he is, then that's probably just a train.
Whatever killed Barbara
So...
and Molly.
Oh, he's talking about like a family curse.
And Calvin.
Which I understand why you'd think that your family would be cursed after everything that happened with them. But literally all their deaths except for... Actually, all their deaths were bad choices that they made. Or choices that other family members made and then led them to their own choices. So, really, I don't
Maybe
think
this
it's
is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me.
I kind of feel like that's the same for everyone. Oh no, I think I'm right that this is a train. Get off
Whatever's
the
out there,
tracks.
I want you to know I'm
Come on,
ready for
off
it.
the tracks. Come on, let's go off of the
I'm
tracks.
going to appreciate all of it, especially the food.
Yeah, the food's very good.
I don't mind if I only have a year left. Or a month.
We're totally off the tracks, so
Or a
let's just stay
single
here.
week. I'd be happy with one new day.
No,
I can already imagine the sun on my face.
it's not the sun.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Well, I mean, that would be a very weird thing to tell your kid. Oh, hey, your uncle's down in the basement if you ever want to go see him. He's just hiding out there, scared of the world. I mean, I have to say, I probably would still have had that conversation with the kid and just been like, oh, hey, he's just playing this really fun game. Or something. And then I would have let her go see him if he would let her. If not, then I still would have told her. Because that means that for 6 years, she could have at least had a relationship with him. Known a little bit more about him. Oh well.
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
Yeah, she probably was. But sometimes you shouldn't protect your kids from things. You can be overprotective.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
I mean, I guess that's a valid fear, considering that how her whole family had been torn apart by death. Even
But if she
Walter.
never told me about an uncle under the house...
What else didn't she tell you? Yeah, I get that.
I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
And that's valid. You shouldn't want to make the same mistakes that your parents made. But regardless, you're going to make mistakes either way.
Trying to bury something that's still alive.
Yeah.
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two.
That's an interesting way to phrase that. It's her. Either Milton or maybe even a
I
baby.
thought it was time I heard the stories for myself
Yeah, you can't really know if you don't.
and found out what happened to everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know what happened to them, so you of course would want to know.
But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem.
They could be the problem. Considering that the more that you give idea and validity to something, the more power it has over you. So, like, if I were to say, like, if I were thinking, like, oh, hey, I'm the dumbest person ever, or then I probably would make myself dumber by thinking that. Versus if you or me were thinking, like, oh, hey, I'm very, very smart, so that would actually probably make you smarter, because you'd be doing things that you'd consider smart, or dumb if you were thinking that you were dumb. So, really, you should be very careful about what you give power to in your own life.
Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
It is possible. It's kind of ironic that he was killed by train, because he was building model trains down there, and even his memorial has trains on it where he built them, and also because he was killed. That's very odd, but I get why they put it. It was very significant in his life. I wonder who all these people are supposed to be. I wonder if they're supposed to be family members. Oh, the train track is broken. I wonder what happened here. I mean, I know that it broke away, but it probably happened when a train was crossing it. I don't see any train parts down there, but they could have already recovered it if they had. But then why would they leave the broken rail there? I don't know. Anyway, that's interesting. Oh wait. Is that the old house? And then that must be mainland over there where there's all those lights. Huh. Why are there chairs?
I don't know
in
if I
the
should even be
trees?
writing this.
I feel like it's good to write these things down so that all your thoughts are in one place, and you can kind of gather yourself through that, and maybe you can give your thoughts to someone else if you want to later on. And if not, then you can just keep them to yourself forever. But regardless, it's very healthy to write down your thoughts.
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me.
Well, I understand that. Not wanting to write these things down because you're afraid that this will keep the cycle going with the next Finches. But honestly, I think that it's good that they know where they come from. And that, oh, hi lads. And that they can make different choices. What you've said so far is very smart. Maybe what caused the curse is just thinking that you were cursed to begin with. Because the first ones that seemed to die died from unfortunate circumstances or
But I thought you should know about your family.
Yeah. They should know about their family, I think. But, not very reasonable circumstances for their deaths for some of them, and then others, like, uncontrollable circumstances. Okay.
And the history you're a part of.
Yeah. You know what? I'm pretty sure that she's not talking to Milton right now. Her brother that's missing. I'm thinking that she's pregnant. The reason why I'm thinking that is because Milton would already know about the history that he was part of. He was through the entire house previously. And that's, where he signed his name, Milton, everywhere that he went. And I honestly don't know of a single place, except for Walter's room, that Milton hadn't been before we did. So to me, I think that Milton would have known about his history enough, but she's not writing to Milton, so she's probably pregnant.
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
Well, I understand why she feels lost, and whoever's reading this would probably feel lost too, just knowing everything that happened in your life and to their family.
I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Yeah. If the people didn't believe in these stories, then I think that a lot of the deaths wouldn't have happened. They would have made different choices.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
I mean, considering that I have no clue how this house is even holding itself up and it's lasted so long, tells you a lot about how smart and interesting and imaginative all the members of the family are. So.
I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it.
Yeah, that would happen after a while because it seems like everybody's dying.
What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
Yeah, that's something that I realized when we were reading the story of how the house was built, because they buried Odin before they ever had the house fully finished, which is sad. They needed a graveyard before a house. It's very sad.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one.
I mean, I kind of feel like that's because you are used to the human cemetery. You probably would come here often to see family members, or you'd hear about a new death in the family and then you'd have a new burial. Whereas the pet cemetery, you wouldn't be coming here as often.
3 of the gerbils were mine. 2 had been my fault.
Also, apparently you should feel guilty because you accidentally killed 2 of your gerbils. So of course the pet cemetery would feel worse because you'd feel more at fault with the pets than the people. Because you couldn't have done anything for the people to stop their deaths, probably. But for the pets, you might have felt like you could have.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
Well, that makes sense. They split the jobs that they needed done, and during that time, they needed the cemetery right away, and they also needed a house, so it made sense that they split the jobs. No, it's very sad that the cemetery was done before the house was. Molly Finch. Born December 11th, 1937. Died December 13th, 1947. Oh, this was only a few days after her birthday. That's sad. That's so sad. And she has a cat statue with wings, where the first animal that she turned into was a cat. That's both sweet and sad at the same time. Calvin Finch with a rocket trying to go to the moon. That's sad. And why are all these things a reference to their deaths so far? Maybe it's just because these are the kids and that's what they liked. And because of that, that's what caused their deaths. April 25th, 1950. Died September 23rd, 1961. Still so young. He was 11. Sven Finch. Born June 17th, 1915. Died August 26, 1964. He didn't die too young or anything. He died probably closer to when you were supposed to die. And he has a saw because he's the handyman. He's the one that built the house. And also, was it him that cut his hand for Barbara's story? I think so, actually. Yes, that would be right. Edith Finch. Born April 8th, 1917. Died December the 5th, 2010. She lived quite a bit longer than everybody else. I wonder what the significance of her having a book with words and like a page. What are those things called? The thing that keeps your page in a book that sometimes comes in the book. It's like a ribbon. One of those things to save your page. Walter Finch, born August 26, 1952, died March 31st, 2005. Oh, and there he is trying to go see the world, coming out of his cave. But really, all these things are related to their deaths. Except for maybe Sven. Barbara Finch, and she has a star, not just because she's a child star, but because in the story, at the very end, she becomes a star because of her scream. Born October 31st, 1944, died October 31st, 1960. Pretty sure she was 16, if I did my math right. Yeah, I think 16 when she died, so very young.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away.
Well, I understand wanting to have a monument to remember those that you have lost, but you also can't let what happened in the past stop you from trying to do things in the future. If you did, then you're going to wind up worse off than you were originally. And her mom trying to bury the past is also not right, because if you forget your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Though I will say, it is very weird that you'd want to memorialize the time that your dad died, where he went down with the house. Because he'd rather go down with his house than to survive, which is very sad.
She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
So that is the house, right?
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. She lives right next to it. Honestly, it's held together pretty well, considering how long it's been in the water and it went through a crash. And the water looks pretty shallow there, with lots of rocks, so that's probably why they crashed in the first place. Because of all the rocks and it being lower in that area. I bet that it was beautiful.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand.
I mean, I get that. Some people, it's much easier for them to want to remember all these things when they're younger. But as you get older, there's so much more in life, and life is hard. And more bad things in life always seems to happen. So you're constantly just dealing with bad things. Sometimes you get good things, but there's a lot of bad things.
But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from.
Yeah. Her mom lost a lot of people. So
Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
yeah. And that's all that she could do. Try to do better. Gregory Finch, born January 12th, 1976, died December 19th, 1977. He was a year old, almost 2 years old, because he had a birthday coming up. Actually, no. He wasn't even a year old, because he hadn't reached his first birthday. No, he did reach his first birthday. So he was almost 2. Yeah, I was right before. Sam Finch. Born April 25th, 1950. Died July 16th, 1938. I mean, not 38, 83. 1983. I will say these graves have a lot less going on with them than the ones over there. I guess that's because they were closer related to Edie. Gus Finch, born June 20th, 1969, died November 8th, 1982. It's still really young. He was really young when he died. But that's to say a lot of them were young when they died. I kind of like how this is set up. You can see those that came directly from Edie, those that came from Sam Finch.
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
Yeah. She was just scared that the same thing would happen to them. Milton Finch, which is her brother that... Not her brother. Her son that went missing. Sanjay Kumar. I wonder if that's her dad. Let me see if I can get the book up. Okay. Yes. Sanjay would be her dad because Edith is at the top of this family tree. And then Dawn is her mom, born 1968, died in 2016. So Sanjay would be her dad if everything holds true. Because I know that Sven was Edie's partner, and Sanjay is a leaf going off of where Dawn is. So. And then let's look at this other raid. Lewis Finch. That's her brother. Okay, let's look at this one. Milton Finch.
We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone.
That's sweet. I get why, because she didn't know where he was at. Yeah. He was born May 19th, 1992, and we don't know what happened to Milton. He could have died somewhere, and he could have also just went on and lived his life, so I don't know about him. Sanjay Kumar, born September 6, 1966, died February 22nd, 2002. Okay. Lewis Finch, born 1927. Wait, no. Born December 27th, 1988. Died November 21st, 2010. So, he was young, but not nearly as young as some of the other people that we saw die. Dawn did a good job trying to keep her kids safe. Though, it was probably pretty hard. Considering that for a while after her husband died, she would have been a single mom.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
And this may have been really what her mom wanted, because she didn't seem to want to talk about these things, but Edith did. And it could also be possible that her mom never wanted her to come back here. And when she did come back here, she wanted her... Well, actually, I do think that her mom probably did want her to come back here, or knew that she would come back here. Otherwise, she wouldn't have left the key to the secret doors to begin with. But I don't know if that was the right thing to do. Because I kind of felt like her mom should have just told her about all these things. And then Edith wouldn't have came back here and put herself through all of this by herself. Because right now, Edith is alone. I do think that Edith did need to know her past, though. Her family's past, at least.
But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing,
I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
I knew that was right. She is pregnant. But that means that she's 17 and becoming a mom. Also, if she's pregnant, she really shouldn't be doing all this. There's been a lot of dangerous things so far. She's literally climbing a tree branch right now. And with that lovely thought, I'm going to end this video right here. If you want to see more of What Remains of Edith Finch, come back next week and I'll see you then. Oh, by the way, I think that next week's video will probably be the last video on What Remains of Edith Finch, but we'll have to see.